Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McGahee, and this is a show where we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. You can listen to Dayspring Discussions on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic, and Patreon, and contact Dayspring Discussions on the Facebook group, Twitter account, and dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. Well, happy Monday, everyone. Hope you had a good weekend. It is a sunny day here in Austin, Texas. It's kind of rained a little this morning, but the sun's trying to come out. Hopefully it'll stay a nice, gorgeous day for us. And man, was it a nice, gorgeous weekend for entertainment. Guys, when I left you last week, I was looking forward to two things, and that was Voltron, Legendary Defenders Season 6 on Netflix, and Incredibles 2 coming out in theaters. And I gotta say, I watched both of them this weekend, and neither of them disappointed. I'm going to get to it in just a sec. Later on, I'm going to talk about the Entertainment Weekly article and pictures that popped up in regards to Aquaman, because I do have a few comments on that. And then, of course, you guys fire back on the social media account and Gmail account. Let me know what you think. Okay, so let me start off with the big one, the one that most people probably watched this weekend or looked at, which was Incredibles 2, the newest Disney Pixar film, the sequel to the 2004 animated film directed by Brad Bird. He comes back to direct this one, and we have been waiting a long time for this. I remember seeing the original Incredibles in theaters. It was my third year of college, and me and a bunch of my friends in the dorm, we went to go see it, and I wanted to go see it just because it had a teaser trailer for Revenge of the Sith. And we stayed for the whole movie, and all of us were blown away by how much we liked it. It was so good. I rewatched it the other night before I saw Incredibles, and it's still such a great film. This one, 14 years later, there is that bit of a question mark because you have a lot of things that are remakes or sequels of things that come out many years ago, and you know that studios are just trying to capitalize on the nostalgia of stuff. Were they trying to do that with this? I don't believe so, but there was that big old question was, can it be as good or at least hold up to the original? Now, on entertainment value, it definitely did. I went and saw it Sunday morning. My wife and my daughter came along. It was a packed theater. I loved it. I love the film. It was just as entertaining as the first one. The only thing that really I'm questioning is kind of the message of the film. That's one of the things about Pixar is they are family films, but kid friendly. And with this one, you definitely had the whole Jack storyline going along, and it was definitely, entertaining for kids along with all the superhero action. I was looking for the adult message in this. Oh, and before I go any further, guys, of course, as you know, spoilers, you know how I do it for this and my upcoming Voltron talk. I'm going to do spoilers, so if you haven't seen either of those, come back, pause me, and check it out, and then of course fire back your feelings as well. So in this one, take place immediately after the first one, where the Underminer has shown up and the Incredibles try to take him down, and in doing so cause a bunch of damage to the city. They get arrested, and they are no longer be under the protection of the government until this rich guy comes along, and he wants to bring superheroes back into the spotlight to make them legal again, and his front runner for doing that is Elastigirl. He stays home with the kids. She goes out and does good stuff and makes superheroes look good again while he's trying to figure out Violet's adolescence, Dash's, wild tendencies, I guess you could say. And of course, there's Jack just developing his powers, and he seems like he has every power, it appears, which, by the way, the best scene, the funniest scene in the film for me was Jack and the raccoon. I busted up laughing and found that so entertaining. It was great. For me, that's one of the best parts of the film. Now, of course, you have all the original voice casting come back. You got Craig T. Nelson as Mr. Incredible, Holly Hunter as Elastigirl, Sarah Vowell as Violet, Huck Milner as Dash, Samuel L. Jackson as Lucius, and then you got a couple other few ones in there that are newcomers. Catherine Keener came back as the villain, Screenslaver, and then her brother was done by Bob Odenkirk from Better Call Saul. He played Winston Dever. And then of course you had Sophia Bush, who One Tree Hill alumni, gotta give it a shout out to her, played Void. And then Brad Bird voiced Edna Mode again in this one, just like the original. So, highly entertaining film. The message really, because there's a couple scenes in that first film that were all about, the adult problems or the message about. Clearly, the message of the first one was a man going in a midlife crisis, trying to relive his glory days, and realizing that by trying to relive those days and being stuck in the past, he's missing out on what's happening now with his family and the joys all that brings. I was trying to look for that kind of, a message in this film. And I tried to grab onto it with Bob again on this. And it was about being a stay-at-home dad, kind of letting his wife share the spotlight, not only in a job, but also in the fame. I don't know, I guess with all the stuff he was dealing with Jack, there wasn't a kind of slow down moment where he stopped and let the audience sink it in, I guess, in my opinion, because, again, the film was highly entertaining. I get what they were doing there, but there wasn't that scene where it just kind of was slowed down, let it sink in what this movie's trying to say. I don't know, I felt like it was a little weaker than what it was in the first one, but then again, I was just trying to, go through my first viewing, not knowing what to expect. I think after a couple more viewings, it'll sink in a little more, and maybe I just missed it. But for right now, just overall, of course, entertaining as well. But the message of it, I thought, lacked a little bit compared to the first Incredibles films and other Pixar movies in that respect. But great film, guys. If you haven't got to check out Incredibles 2, go check it out. It has broken some records. It is the #1 opening box office for an animated film, bringing $185 million domestically, beating out Finding Dory. I think it was 2 years ago, that was at 135. So people were definitely clamoring for an Incredibles. You can definitely see that. It's got a great review. I think it's going to do a lot of good stuff. I might go see it again. Hopefully, it depends. This weekend we got Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom coming out, as well as a few other films out there that I want to check out still. So hopefully I'll see it again. If not, you guys go check it out. I've already spoiled it for you if you haven't, but fire back on the Facebook group, Twitter account, and of course, Gmail. Let me know what you think. Okay, so now we're moving on to TV, and Netflix premiered Season 6 of Voltron Legendary Defender this weekend. Came out on Friday. I sat down Friday night, and I've been trying to do this thing where I don't consume an entire Netflix season all in a couple of sittings or in a couple of days. I tried to digest a little bit, let it soak in. With the Voltron, they've been coming out with only a handful of episodes every season, so you're only getting with, say, 7 episodes per season, maybe 3 hours of programming or so. So you can definitely do it in one sitting if you want to. I sat down, it was probably 9:30, 10ish. I wasn't planning on watching all the episodes. Then it got to episode 4. And you know what happens at episode 4. I couldn't stop. I consumed all 7 episodes. It was 1 a.m. I had been drinking some rum, and I was all hyped up, blown away, because this was a phenomenal season, with a minor exception, of course. But to backtrack a little bit, again, I was a fan of Voltron when I was a kid. I love the modern interpretation that they've done with this show. At the end of season 2, I thought it was such a high point for the series. I was so looking forward to season 3, but then I felt like the last couple seasons have kind of sputtered a little bit. I felt, especially at the beginning of season 3, they put Keith in the Black Lion a little too early. They brought Shiro back a little too early. With Lotor, it's okay. I kind of like what they've been doing with him, especially when he started to join with Voltron, and you knew it was inevitable that he was going to turn against him. But we get to season 6, and the Galra Empire is divided. Lotor has killed Zarkon, as far as we know. Hagar is, one of those fractions that's fighting for power, as well as Lotor, who claimed the throne, is, again, fighting amongst the Galra, but working with the Paladins to bring peace to the Galra Empire, to the galaxy. And Allura and Lotor went inside the quintessence field to hopefully gain access to that power, and Lotor feels like with a limited supply of quintessence, that will bring peace to the Golra Empire and have them rally around him. So then we're at season 6 here, and man, I will say episode 3 was a complete waste of time. I kind of skimmed through it when I realized what it was going to be. They were playing some magical role-playing game, and they were imagining themselves as the characters, and it was just one of those throwaway episodes, as I would call it, like Star Wars, Clone Wars, and Rebels, and even like Young Justice. These animated series have these occasional like throwaway episodes that are, maybe you can call fun episodes where you take a break from the main action and just do something kind of silly. Okay, I don't like those. I don't like those episodes in animated series. I don't like those episodes in my everyday series, like with shows like, say, Arrow and The Flash. There's so many throwaway episodes per season, I feel like, and they drag everything out so long because you got to get 22 to 23 episodes. That's why I love like cable shows or Netflix, where you do 10 to 13 episodes and leaves you very little time for throwaway episodes or extra meat, because it's all story. If you're telling your story properly, it's all condensed, it all counts, it's all good stuff. So again, going into spoilers for this season, if you haven't watched it, come back, play it later. So just to kind of go from the beginning, episode 2 is kind of where I want to start, with Keith's journey where he has met his mother, and they're in search for a quintessence source, and it kind of unlocks his mind, really. They say, almost 2 years on this crater in a quintessence field, and Keith is remembering all these things from his past, that his mother landed on Earth, or crashed on Earth, while she was part of a Golra scout ship that was searching for the lion. But she was also an undercover agent for the Blade of Memora, crash landed, met his father, they had him, and then she left. That was a very good Keith episode, and with Keith, they had done such a good job these last couple seasons with his growth. Skipping over a little bit, of course, episode 4, that's when it happens, folks. That's when this season kicks into high gear, and I went back, I started with that episode. I watched this show, like I said, on Friday night. I went back Saturday night, started with episode 4, and rewatched the last 4 episodes because they are just so intense. Friday night, it was so awesome watching these episodes. Okay, so it finally comes to head to where we learned at the end of last season that Hagar had taken control, or was watching the Paladins through Shiro. She had some kind of control over Shiro. And in an episode last season, when they were kind of all joined together in the spiritual field, Shiro was trying to warn Lance about it. But, he kind of shrugged it off, and Lance kind of forgot about it. But this is where Hagar activates him and has him bring her Lotor. Keith comes back after being on that crater with his mom and tells them all about what Lotor has done to the Alteans, and basically torturing and killing them, trying to gain their quintessence for their energy. And this kind of shocks Allura, because Allura has gotten very close to Lotor, and she's kind of shocked that she let herself trust him. Along that lines too, you have Lance, who was shocked that, Shiro turned against him and everything that's going on with him. He kind of down on himself that he didn't say anything, that, he knows that Shiro was trying to reach out to him in the spiritual realm, and he didn't pursue it any further. So Shiro takes Lotor, they bug out along with the ships that Lotor and Allura were working on, which, by the way, I did enjoy the part, I think it was in episode 1, I don't know which one it was. They were working on the ships, and, they were talking about activate interlock, dinotherms connected, mega thrusters are go, which is a callback to how they used to form Voltron in the original Defender of the Animated Series. So that was a fun little joke there. And then Pidge is like, we got to get to the lions, but who's going to fly the black lion? And Keith's like, I will, or, paraphrasing, but like, and I love that moment because if you go back to season 3, Keith was totally against being in that black lion. He didn't feel like he should be in it. He didn't feel like he was ready for it. But then you take this whole journey with him through these last couple seasons where he's been with the Blade of Mamora, finding out about his past, and now he's finally ready to be the head of Voltron. And the following episodes, of course, is when he's hunting down Shiro, and you get a little bit of his past, and you finally figure out what's going on with Shiro. And what happened is at the end of season 2, when he and Zarkon fought each other, he thought that he disappeared. His spirit was inside the Black Lion this whole time, and Hagar and the Gora had basically cloned Shiro, and she was using Shiro as a spy this whole time. Now, at the end of this season, at the end of the episode, Allura used her powers to basically take Shiro's spirit from the Black Lion and put it inside, back in the body, the clone body of Shiro, I guess you could say. His hair turns white. Stuff happens, but the fight between Keith and Shiro, man, it's like the best friends, brothers fighting. I mean, honestly, when I was watching that fight, I was thinking of Obi-Wan versus Anakin in Revenge of the Sith on Mustafar, or even Steve and Bucky slugging it out on the ships at the end of Captain America: Winter Soldier. It was just so emotional, not only because of their best friends fighting, but again, Keith's journey, what he went through these last couple seasons to really step up, because he had to go against his brother, his best friend, his mentor. Great storytelling, just the finest. So let's take a look at the ending here. So what happened was they go and fight Lotor in the Quintessence field, and Allura uses her powers to basically take him out and leave him there as they bug out. So technically they got rid of Lotor, but technically I think he's still alive, and I think that means he's going to come back, because I don't see who their next big villain will be, because they took out Zarkon pretty much at the end of season 2, and then they teased Prince Lotor, who's been that constant throughout these last couple seasons. Now Lotor's stuck in there, but I'm imagining he's getting out. Not sure. Castle Lions had to be sacrificed to close all the wormholes and save the universe, pretty much. Now they're just in their lions, and they realize the only way, our only resource to build another Castle of Lions is back on Earth. So they are going home, and this season definitely changed the game for the series. You no longer have that safe space, that Castle of Lions to go to, and they're going home to Earth, to a place that has no idea what's been going on the other side of the galaxy with the Gora and Zarkon and all that stuff. I'm very interested to see how they're going to play that out. Now, I said that maybe Lotor is going to come back because you need a villain for this season. If they want to do some really good storytelling, the villains of this could be Earth. They come back with Voltron, the most powerful weapon in the galaxy. What's the human instinct is to harness it. And they remember, when these guys left, they were cadets in Galaxy Garrison, okay? They think, these just kids, these kids can't use this weapon. We have to use the weapon. Let's take it from them. That's my train of thought. That's where I think would be an interesting place for it to go from here. Also, I got to see some families, okay? We learned about Pidge's family. We learned about Keith's family. Let's, maybe see Shiro's family. Of course, I think Lance and Hunk would be very interesting. I think they both come from good homes, and I want to see relationships go on with there. I don't know about Allura and Lance. I want to see Lance end up with Allura, but she's definitely got some trust issues now with everything that happened with Lotor. Back in season 2, I thought Allura and Keith were going to eventually hook up, because that's what it was in the original series. But Lance has matured. I think he's going to continue to mature. I think he's going to get closer to Allura. What happens from there, I don't know. But guys, it was back. It was season 2. heights now with this. I mean, I'm psyched. I'm in. I cannot wait for season 7. I've been a little skeptical about doing, 7 episodes, being off for 6 months, and then coming back with 7 more episodes, and so on and so on. But I'm so excited to see what comes next, what they've got cooked up. I don't even care about this whole, dividing it every couple of months. Forget that. I want season 7 as soon as possible. I want to know what happens. Hopefully they have some kind of tease at Comic-Con coming up next month, because I gotta see what's going on. Guys, if you are not watching Voltron, forget the fact that it's an animated show, okay? This is a sci-fi fantasy show at its best, okay? Go check it out. Thank me later. Come back. Let me know what you think, of course. Okay, guys, so I talked a lot about that, of course. I'm very passionate about Voltron because I like the series so much. I'm definitely over on my time, but I really want to fit in this Aquaman article, so I'm going over. If you want to take a break, pause, come back to me later, that's fine. So I just want to talk about it as fast as I possibly can. So Entertainment Weekly has released their newest issue, and on the cover is Aquaman. You got Jason Momoa, you got Amber Heard as Mera, and then as Aquaman's mother is Nicole Kidman, aka Atlanta. Now, I just got this yesterday in the mail, or Saturday in the mail, I guess, but I finally read it today. The pictures popped up online on Friday, and you can kind of see it. So, for those of you who know I'm a big Aquaman guy. Why? I'm a big water guy. I was a swimmer in high school, and I like superheroes. So, naturally, my common nickname is Aquaman. That's just kind of how it goes. And I like the character. He's been the butt of jokes for many, many years, ever since Super Friends. If you go and read Jeff Johns' New 52 take, though, it'll totally change your perception of the character. I think he's a great character with a rich history and a lot of stuff to play with. So go check out at least those first 4 volumes written by Jeff Johns. Just great stuff. You'll love the character. So I'm an Aquaman fan. Jason Momoa pops up in Batman v Superman a couple of years ago, and I'm not a fan, honestly. I think he's not the right part. He's never really led a successful movie before. He's done Conan, but that didn't turn out so well. I don't think he's a terrible actor. I just don't feel like he's the best actor for this character. And from what I saw in Justice League, he's not Arthur Curry, at least in my eyes. Not the Arthur Curry I know or the Arthur Curry that I want. But, maybe I can get over it. So I read the article. I just kind of skimmed through it here. And they're talking about how Zack Snyder and James Wan actually chose him mainly because he was so anti what Aquaman looked like. He didn't have the blonde hair. He wasn't that white pretty boy. Fun fact was that Jason Momoa actually went in for Batman v Superman and auditioned for Batman thinking and he wasn't going to get the part. And he didn't. But Snyder and Wan then thought of him for Aquaman. So the DCEU, of course, a little bit of shambles, and this is such a different film compared to a lot of other superhero films. I would compare it definitely to Thor, okay? It's far out there. It's something that has never been put on screen before. And if done right, that might be able to pull off. I want it to go good because I'm an Aquaman fan. Just to be honest, I don't have a lot of faith in Jason Momoa as the lead actor. I don't have a lot of faith as Amber Heard as Mera, and I don't have a lot of faith of James Wan as the director. I'm sorry to say, I don't. I don't like a lot of James Wan films. I don't like a lot of Amber Heard films, and I don't think Jason Momoa is a strong enough actor to play this part. However, I like the character of Aquaman. I want the character of Aquaman to be seen in a new light and be cool. If having this movie be successful despite what I feel, great. I want it to be good. It's got the right supporting cast. It's got Nicole Kidman as his mom. It's got, what's his name? King Orm by Patrick Wilson, although I don't think he looks very good. You got William Dafoe as Volko. And then you got a guy whose name I can never pronounce, Waya Abdul Mateen. Yep, I totally butchered that. as Black Manta, who I know from the Netflix show The Get Down, and I know can play the part of Black Manta. So his supporting cast is definitely solid. It's the main actor that I am questioning at this point, guys. You know, like I said, I like Aquaman. I've read Aquaman for quite some time now. Being that it's someone that I'm compared to, it's a nickname, like I said, I feel very protective of it. And I want this film to, I want to go into it with hope. But there's some decisions that are making me doubt it. And I just hope that James Wan and his crew blow me away come December 21st. Now, it does have some competition as well. You got Bumblebee coming in there too. And that's what kind of irks me too, is that I think Bumblebee looks like a good enough film to change my mind on the Transformers franchise. And Aquaman's kind of in the same boat with the fluttering DCEU. It needs to change people's perception about the DCEU. Wonder Woman was a good start, but if Aquaman is good, Shazam is good, we all know Wonder Woman 2 is going to be good. That totally changes the tide of the DCEU. And again, I want Aquaman to be good. I'm just really crossing my fingers and hoping that how I feel about Jason Momoa, Amber Heard, and James Wan changes. I hope they bring their game. I hope they bring something I haven't seen from any of them before to pull off this film. That's my hope. So, all right, guys. Well, that is it for me today. Of course, fire back on the Facebook group, Twitter account, and Gmail account. Let me know. What did you think of Incredibles 2? Did you see any flaws in it? Let me know. Voltron Season 6, if you saw any flaws in that besides Episode 3, talk to me and I'll tell you why you're wrong. And then, of course, Aquaman. How do you feel about this film? Are you anxious to see it? Are you excited? What are your worries? I honestly want to know if you guys feel the same way I do about the lead of this film and just, you know, how I'm very questioning it. So find me on social media under Instagram and Twitter, Slim Dayspring 12. And that's going to be it for me, guys. Hopefully I will be able to get to another show on Thursday. Until then, may the 4th be with us all.